Hey everybody, this is Greg Gossett from Gossett Trading and Mentoring Live. Excuse me. And today is July 14th, 2020. We're again in the final hour of the trading day. My favorite time to make the majority of my buying and selling decisions for my swing trades. At the end of the day, you have the large financial institutions. They come in, they're in control of the market. They take the price control away from the day traders and the algorithms. They're dealing with the most money, they have best technology, best information, and that's when they start waking up and making their trades at the end of the day. So like I said, I consider it smart money, and I like to make my buying and selling decisions based upon what they are doing as well at the end of the day. So, hey, thanks everybody for coming today. It's always nice to see everybody in the chat. I really always look forward to it. I think we have such a great group. I'm definitely grateful for that. Looks like Evan is here. Hey, buddy, good to see you. Hope you're having a good day, Evan. So, wow, well, what a day. Yesterday we had we had the apocalypse. As far as the NASDAQ went, the Dow Jones was up 500 points, gave it all back. But today we are back up 455 points on the Dow, and we are up 24.9 on the NASDAQ and 26.83 on the S&P. So the winner of the day is definitely the Dow, and the laggard of the day is definitely the NASDAQ. So all right, Kamal is here. Hey, bud. Good to see you, my friend. Thank you for your scan today, and always nice chatting with you during the day on Skype. And Bob is here. Hey, Bob. Good to see you, my friend. I hope you're doing well. So, well, interesting day today. Boy, I had one of the best day trading days I've had in a long time, and I'm going to show you that in a minute. When we go through my current positions. But wow, some days you're the hammer and then some days you're the nail. And today I was the hammer, fortunately. Just had some really good dip buys on Apple in particularly, and did take a trade on VIX as well that I'll show you. So here is, Frank is here. Hey, bud, good to see you, my friend. Hi, Greg and group. This market is nuts. It is absolutely nuts. It is nuts. Hey, look at this higher low V1 here on the VIX. I just got out of a trade, but right here, look at this, higher low V1 back in the value zone. I'm not going to take this because I have the podcast going, but this is the type of trade that I would take. Man, I feel like I have to sneeze. If I do, I apologize. Hey, Gary, good to see you. Hope you're doing well, my friend. Did you ever get that moving average issue with Thinkorswim worked out? We talked about that when I spoke to you on Skype the other night. Just wondering if you'd got that taken care of. Hope you did. All right, so we have a lot to get through today. Here's the plan. First of all, we're going to run the U.S. legal disclaimer. Secondly, we're going to come back, take a look at my current positions, talk about when I bought them, why I bought them, how I'm going to manage them moving forward. Then, as I mentioned, had some really good day trades today, so I am going to show you those. After that, we're going to take a look at your current positions. The board looks pretty bleak. We don't have a lot on here. Yesterday, a lot of positions were closed out, which I think was a good idea, honestly. And then after that, we're going to spend a few minutes on trader psychology, talk about the importance of psychology in trading. In my opinion, it's the most important skill that you can develop. You have to learn, you have to get the skills of learning entries, exit, support, resistance, indicators, all that kind of stuff. But that's really so that you can put together a plan. And following the plan, that's a whole other issue. So I do like to spend a few minutes on that. After that, I have gone through, and between Kamal and myself, we've identified some possible setups for today. We're going to go through those. I have 3 requirements before I take any trade. First requirement, have to have a confluence or combination of indicators lining up. I look at each indicator as a group of buyers. And the more indicators lining up, the way I look at it is the more buyers lining up. And you're going to put yourself in a position to have the best chance to have a profitable trade if you're in the company with as many other buyers as possible. Requirement number 2, I have to have a good risk to reward based upon valid support below me and likely and valid resistance above me. And then step number 3, I want to make sure I don't have too many positions in general. Don't want to have too many correlated positions. That's for sure. I want to have diversification in between the different type of positions that I have. And then I have a rule. I never put more than 60% of my capital at work ever. That's just a rule that I live by, that I learned from Stephen Burns. And whatever I learned from Stephen Burns, I listen to and follow, because he has really thought it through, and it does make a lot of sense. So then I'm going to go down through that watch list. If I find anything that qualifies with my 3 requirements, I will buy it at the end of the day, right before the close. Ideally, I'd like to just buy 1. Sometimes I'll buy 2, but my default setting is I want to just buy the best one that I can find, unless they're 2 really good ones and they're in different industries. Then after the market closes, if you'd like me to look at any stock symbols on the chart, give you my opinion, I'm happy to do that. If there's any stock symbols that you would really like to get my take on before the market closes, go ahead, put them in the chat. Just put a asterisk by it so that I know it is time sensitive, and I'll do my best to get to it. And then if you have any additions or subtractions to the board, if you could please just wait till the end of the day before you tell me, just so I can stay on track, and then I'll have plenty of time after the market closes to go in there and update. So that's the plan. I'm going to run the U.S. legal disclaimer, see if I can sneeze while the microphone's off, and I'll see you in about 40 seconds. Thank you. This video or live broadcast, like all instructional materials produced by Gossett Trading and Mentoring LLC, is created and published for informational and educational purposes only. Please carefully read and/or listen to the U.S. government required disclaimer before watching this video or live stream broadcast. The video link and disclaimer text are located in the description section of this video or live broadcast, here and here. Thank you so much. All right. Hey, Glenn, good to see you, buddy. Hope you're doing well. Hey, Quad, good afternoon, Greg. Hello, Quad, hope you're doing well. David, hello, my friend. I thought we had a good lesson on last Friday, and as always, you did really well. Really impressed with David, so looking forward to our next one this coming Friday, if your schedule allows for that. Gary said, spoke with Thinkorswim, and they simulated my charts on their side and said they were going to get the same 200 SMA as me. I'm not sure where the issue is, but they couldn't correct it. Yeah, Gary and I were comparing charts, and my 200-day moving average reading was different than his, and we went to a stock that didn't have dividends, and we were the same on a stock that didn't have dividends. So I assumed that it has to be some kind of setting with dividends. But again, regardless of what your chart settings are, there's always pluses and minuses. I may get into a trade that Gary doesn't get into, and I lose money on the trade, but he never lost money because he didn't get into it. Or I might get into a trade where I made money and he didn't get in because his moving average was a little different. But it's all going to work. It's all going to work itself out in the wash. But ideally, in my opinion, more people look at the unadjusted or the adjusted for dividends. And of course, we want to have eyes on a level that everyone else is having eyes on. On a daily chart, it's not going to be that much different, but on an intraday chart, it may be. So, dang, don't know what to say there, Gary. Hey, Frank has a poem for us. It's a 2 blocker. Let me give it a run through. Let's make it clear for all to hear. There is no shame in having a loss. It's just part of the cost. Nor should a trader take it to blame, for losses are simply part of our game. Follow your plan. Please understand, no one always holds a winning hand. That's true. Let me take one more shot at it. Let's make it clear for all to hear. There is no shame in having a loss. It's just part of the cost. Nor should a trader take it to blame, for losses are simply part of the game. Follow your plan and please understand, nobody always holds a winning hand. Well, that is certainly true. I don't know if any of you are poker players out there, but you know, the best poker players in the world have tons of losing hands, right? The best traders in the world have tons of losing trades. So if you have losses, remember, it's just part of the game. It's your cost of doing business. If you own a donut shop, well, you have to pay for flour and sugar and all that kind of stuff. That's just part of your cost, and that's the cost with trading. So, you know, if you've had losing trades, if you've had a string of losing trades, you know, analyze what you're doing. Make sure you're using good trading principles. But if you are, just realize it's part of it. Try to keep that steady mindset, right in the middle, not too excited or manic, not too depressive. And so thank you so much, Frank. Always appreciate that. Dan has a peace sign for me. Hey, Dan, good to see you, my friend. Appreciate you being here. William says, hi, Greg and all. Good to be here live. Hope all of you are well. Greg, I did get the links. Thanks so much. We'll have TD Ameritrade assist with the imports. Okay, good. Yeah, I sent William the links for Thinkorswim. Gary's on here. You know, when Gary and I work together in the lessons, we set up his charts with that. And I think it's a pretty good setup. Thanks to Jesse, our friend Jesse, one of my students that created that platform. So good, William. Good to hear. Please let me know how it works out. All right. Let's see. That higher low V1 did pretty well, especially if you got it right when it triggered. Okay. Let's get on to some business. Berkshire Hathaway. I did buy Berkshire Hathaway. Let's see. Anybody else have Berkshire? No. Okay. So I did buy Berkshire Hathaway on the 10th of July. I bought it at 182.79. Yesterday it went up. I believe I hit one profit target. Today it gapped down, reversed back up. David, if you're listening, I can't remember. Was it David? I think it was David. We were talking. Yeah, it was David. It was in the lesson. This is an ups, David. You see how we gap lower and then reverse back up? We were talking about what an ups is. This is an ups. And this was a great ups because when it opened, I was like, dang, it gapped down. But it seriously rallied, and it's up 1.69% today. I did hit one profit target here at 185.74, and I did hit another profit at 187.35. And this was a higher low V2 that I took, and it triggered this fractal here the next day, which was another good sign. And so it's a 59.15 RSI. So as long as it keeps going up, I'll continue to phase out. It is above the orange line here. That's 1 ATR for my entry, meaning that I will this now goes into trailing stop mode. If I get a close below the previous day's low, that will be my signal to lock in profits. But very happy with that so far. Okay, real quick, in case we have some new viewers. I know everybody gets here to hearing this. I get tired of saying it. I really do. I say it hundreds of times a year, but I do buy the SPY every day at the close. I hold it overnight. I take the overnight risk, and I sell it first thing the next morning. This is based upon a back-tested study from Lizanne Saunders at Bespoke Invest since 1993. This study tested two different approaches. One, buy the SPY at the open, hold through the day, sell at the close. If you did this every day since 1993, you'd have lost a negative 13.9% return for all your troubles. However, if you do the opposite, which is what I do, buy the SPY at the close, hold the overnight risk, or hold it overnight, take the overnight risk, where I feel that's the edge in this approach, sell first thing the next morning. This gained a positive 634.2%. Past performance is no guarantee of future results. Blue line, buy in the evening, sell the next morning. Orange line, buy in the morning, sell at the end of the day. You can see clearly the blue line over time, all it has done is gone up, up, up. There are drawdowns. That is part of this approach, as with any trading approach. And it may never work again in the history of the world, right? It may never, but I'm going to keep using it. It has been profitable for me net since I've started using it, and I like it. I like to change up different trading approaches. And this is basically a buy and hold the SPY forever. It's just overnight, not during the day. So that being said, today was a loser. did have a nice winner yesterday, but I did buy at the end of the day at 314.84, and gap lower this morning. I sold at 313.25, so about $1.60 on the downside, and then it's reversed. But that's how it goes. You know, I never have any notion about what this is going to do. And you know what? We should have the same for every single trade setup. And honestly, there are trade setups that I take that I kind of do expect to go up, but on the spot overnight SPY trade, I never have any thoughts on whether it's going to go up or down. I just do it, and that's it. So anyway, that one was a loss. USO is up nicely today, 1.41%. This has been a real slow trade. This is a weekly trade. I bought it on the weekly when we had a V1 under 30, over 30, rejection of the third ATR channel. I bought it at 28.40. It's at 28.85. So it is up on the trade so far, but not a ton. But again, when you take a trade on a weekly trade, you might be in this thing for a month or 2 or 3. And I do like to vary my trades between dailies and weeklies as well. XLU. Okay, I did buy XLU back on the 10th of July. I bought it here at 57.75. Anyone else in this? No. I did buy it at 57.75, moved up yesterday, did hit one profit target. I did not sell it yesterday because it did hold the 50 RSI, and today it's up 0.93%, so that's nice, and I did hit one profit at target at 58.54. Okay, those are my trades. So Berkshire is positive, overnight SPY trade was a loss, USO is positive, XLU is positive. So very, very happy with that. But my big trades came today on Apple. I was really, really excited about these trades because they were just monster trades. Okay, here we are, 5-minute bar. I bought here. We rejected the negative third ATR channel, went under 30, over 30. I bought at 377.30. Then it had a nice run up here. It got very close to the 50 RSI and that 20-day moving average, and it was a kind of a big climax up bar. And you know, when I day trade, I trade a little bit different than I trade when I have my swing trades. I don't wait so much for closes below previous day's low. Sometimes I do if they're small bars, but when I get a big bar up like that, I just take advantage of it. So I got in here at 377.30 and I got out at 381.10. Isn't that something? So I felt pretty good about everything. Then I took a short. Well, we had a V2. Here's bar 1, 2, 3, bar 2, washed out bar 1, bar 3, closed under bar 1's close. And it was also for false breakout to the upside over here. I took it intra bar right when it triggered. I got short at 380.80, and then it went down nicely, tried to rally, came back down. Then we had this V1 right here. And a lot of times when I'm in a trade and I get a V1 or V2 the opposite way, I will take it. But here, instead of just closing my trade, I reversed and went long. So I went short here, 380.80. We got out of my short here at 379.40, so made about $1.40, and went long at 379.40, and then had a beautiful trade from 379.40 up here. It rejected the 50 to 384.70. So I had close to two $4 trades on Apple, which was just fantastic. And then I haven't got involved in anything there, so I'll take those off. Although this is a decent little V2 here with the rejection of the 50. See the V2? Okay, and then VIX. I did have one trade on VIX. So this was my thinking. I was looking at the 39-minute bar, and you can see yesterday we had that big move up. Then we came back down right into the value zone, right? So the higher time frame, the 39-minute time frame came, we were overextended here. Then we came back down into the value zone. So as soon as we came into the value zone here, I switched to the 5-minute and looked for a trade. I hope that makes sense, right? On the larger time frame, we're above. We come back down into value. This is, if we're going to bounce, this is a decent place to bounce. So I looked for an entry, and I took the entry right here when we had this washout. We had the V1 and a false breakout to the downside, essentially from this little guy over here. Bought here at 33.56. And remember what I was just telling you about a big bar, a big expansion bar. When I day trade, very often I will get out of that at the end of the big bar, and I did. So I got in at 33.56 and I got out at 33.85, and that was the right place to get out of initially. Then it went back down. We just talked about this one when we started the show. Did rally up, and now it's coming back down. So let me get rid of that trade. And then I also did buy some calls. You remember I bought calls yesterday on the VIX, and I did buy calls again today. If we look at the daily, so here I bought October 16th of 20, $35 calls at $6.60. And so, of course, this is a defined risk because I'm buying calls. But, the reason I bought it yesterday, we had that big, huge bar up. And then when we got close to halfway, I'm slightly under on the trade, but when we got close to halfway, we had the big move up. We had the pullback close to halfway. This is where I re-entered. If you remember, I bought calls here, sold them here yesterday, and it was a big expansion bar up. So I just went ahead, took the profits. But, this bar indicates to me higher movement, not in the short term, but in the longer term. So, I bought here close to, well, it was right about here, $34 when I bought it. So I'm slightly underneath water on that one. So, okay. Let me see if I can see a couple chats here. Glenn says, thoughts on COUP? Well, you're going to hear me say this a lot today, Glenn. Yesterday, we had that big, huge down bar on strong volume. It doesn't surprise me that we are having a bounce here today, but we're getting fairly close to the halfway of that washout bar. Kerry Lavorne, he's the guy that taught me all about V1s, V2s. He is obsessed with not getting involved when you have a large bar that's larger than 1 ATR. That's why I wouldn't take a V1 up against this bar. This meant there was a lot of selling, a lot of supply coming into the market. Doesn't mean it can't bounce, but unless something really fundamentally or news-wise change, why would it go right back up? I mean, I guess that's kind of a rhetorical question because that has happened many times, and it certainly might. But in general, when you have big down bars like this, I'm not surprised by a bounce to maybe halfway, but I just tend to find something that hasn't had a huge amount of supply dumped on me initially. So honestly, if I saw this chart with a big down bar and a reversal getting close to halfway, I would switch to like the 39-minute chart and I'd look for a short, right? Just like on VIX, we had the big up bar yesterday and then we came back to halfway and I bought calls. So this is the same thing with a big down bar. Now we're getting close to halfway. I would go intraday and look for a short because from a Fibonacci standpoint, most likely this is where it's going to fail. Glenn says, taking a position in AEM with the test of the 200 EMA and the 50 EMA. Okay, Glenn, could you remind me after the market closes what your new positions are so I can get them up there correctly? Frank says, Tesla has been like a sonic boom in this market. What is Tesla doing today? It's up 21 cents. Well, and again, look, we had the big bar yesterday. We did attempt to rally. We didn't get quite to halfway, but you know, if I was watching Tesla here, I would go down to the 39-minute bar and go on the daily. It's at that 50 fib. I don't really see anything here that I would have taken for a short though. Look at this consolidation. This thing's going to move one way or the other. I can just feel it. I can just feel it. Glenn says TDOC and work losing 4%. Yeah, the stay-at-home ones. Hey, Steve Burns, good to see you, buddy. Thank you so much for coming, my friend. Always an honor and privilege to have you here. Steve says volatility is back. Today, half my watch list has been down big and the other half up big. Day traders back in control. Yeah, volatility is back, and I guess that's one of the reasons why I had such a good day trading intraday. Great day trading, Greg. That is the place to go in this price action if you have systems for it. Yeah, with no volatility, it's hard to day trade. You know, but you know, like on those Apple trades, they were $4 a piece intraday, which is massive. Steve says, I 100% agree with you in the Kerry Lavorne on the big reversal candles. The reversal of momentum usually leads to range-bound price action. Yep. Yeah, Kerry Lavorne is obsessed with taking V1s, V2s. You know, when I tell my students, you know, a lot of times I'll have students say, well, there's a V1, there's a V2. I'm like, I know, but the day one bar is big. And they're like, what's the relevance? Because there was a lot of supply coming down there. Doesn't mean it can't go back up, but the odds are against it just because yesterday it got dumped. See what I mean? Okay. Quad took Orchard Therapeutics yesterday at 538. It did have a higher low V1. MACD was positive. Man, I looked at this earlier and it wasn't down so much, and now it's down 5.97%. So that's a bummer. Did this close over 30 yesterday? On my chart, it didn't. 29.83. Anyway, that's a bummer there. Bob does have Monster. He bought it back here with a couple other people in the group at 71.32. Initially went up nicely, came back down, had a big gap up, reversal, but glad to see this back up for you today, Bob. And right about break even, looks like. Just slightly above. EXE, Evan had a nice trade here. V2, false breakout to the downside, bought it here at 37.39, was up a little yesterday and up a little today. So pretty strong relative strength on Exelon. Wow, is that it? I'm used to going through like 18 different stocks, but you know, I was really proud of everybody yesterday. I mean, there were some massive trades that Kamal had and Frank had and Glenn had, Steve had. There were some really good trades, but you know, that volatility came in, and you know, at some point you have to take profits, right? When something changes in the market, you have to take profits, and something did feel like it changed yesterday. By the way, I read a statistic. Yesterday, the NASDAQ was up 2% intraday and closed down 2%. I read a statistic that that's the only time, there's only been 2 times in history when that happened. Yesterday and, wouldn't you know it, the top of the NASDAQ market back in 2000. So food for thought. Doesn't mean it has to happen this time. Things are a lot different than now, but isn't that interesting that that's only happened twice in history, and yesterday was one of them. Evan says, is yesterday's bar too big on TGT? I don't know, but I'm going to assume it is. Whoa. Yeah. I mean, yeah, we have a V1, but you see, Evan, if you have ATR channels, you can just see, look, here's the third, here's the second, here's the first. From here to here, 1 ATR. From here to here, 1 ATR. So you just, you know, take a look at this and go, okay, it's about that big. Well, yesterday's bar was bigger than from here to here or from here to here. So look, it doesn't mean it can't go back up. But, honestly, if I was looking at this chart right now and I was looking to day trade, I would have a big bar down. Today, reversed back into that bar. My assumption or the tendency would be when you have a big down bar like that for a bar, once you're at halfway, I would switch to a smaller time frame and look for a short. I don't see anything here, so I wouldn't take it. But yes, in my opinion, it's not as bad as some of the other ones, that's for sure. But if we measure from here to here, $2.53, and yeah, so that's about 1.25 ATR on increased volume. Okay. Take a quick look here. Berkshire's doing fine. Boy, that'd be sweet if it hit the third profit target. That'd be unbelievable. SPY had the overnight SPY loss. V1 to the upside. We'll be taking that overnight. Oil is fine. XLU's smoking right on up there, isn't it? 1.2%. Apple's been all over the place. My gosh. Remember just a minute ago I talked about that V2? Yeah, if you would have taken it earlier in the bar, you would have had a nice trade. There's advantages and disadvantages to waiting for the end of the bar before you make your move or taking it before. Obviously, if you would have seen this V2 trigger right here, you would have bought it about 383, 384, and you would have had a beautiful trade. Now, if you would have waited for this bar to confirm, you would have bought it a lot higher. But there's advantages. If you wait for it to confirm, then you don't get a lot of whipsaw. If you would have bought it here intra-bar and then it would have just collapsed on you, the person waiting for confirmation would not have had that loss, whereas you would have had that loss. But on the flip side, if you bought it intra-bar and it goes up, then you get a big head start on the person waiting for the confirmation. So, there's never any free lunch, and there's pluses and minuses to everything. Okay. Quad says ORTX on my chart did close over 30 yesterday. I'll sell today if it stays under. Okay. Yeah, shoot. Bummer. Evan says, okay, thanks for taking a look, Greg. You are welcome, sir. Okay. Well, listen, before we get on to the potential end-of-day candidates today, I do want to switch gears for a minute and not talk about charts and indicators and entries and exits, and talk about really the meat and potatoes of what's going to make you a long-term profitable trader in the long run. And that is the psychology, your psychology, what's going on between your ears. You have to create a plan. You have to stick to the plan in order for this all to work in the long run. But sticking to the plan is a whole other thing. Listen, if we want to lose weight, we know what to do. We know what to do, right? And exercise more, eat better food. That's going to do the trick. But just because we know what to do doesn't mean we do it. Our emotions, devils and angels, they tempt us. You have to fight. Oh, I want some of that cake. I shouldn't because blah, blah, blah. You get it, right? So we know exactly how to lose weight, but the psychology is what's going to determine whether or not we lose weight or not. Well, it's the same in trading, right? It's the same in trading. Come up with a good plan. There's so many different ways to trade. There is not one special secret Formula 409 way to trade. There's not. There's just not. There's different ways to trade depending on your risk and your time frame and your personality. But, step one, find what fits you. But step two, create that plan. Step three, you have to follow the plan. And that's where the issues come. So, there's a lot of good Facebook, a lot of good Twitter channels out there that do a really great job and spend time and effort, burn calories by posting these for us each day. And they're worth their weight in gold if we would just read them and internalize them. And one of my favorites is Stephen Goldstein at AlphaMind101. He's on Twitter, Stephen Goldstein at AlphaMind101. If you haven't checked out his podcast, the AlphaMind 101 podcast, it's fantastic. He interviews all different types of traders from all around the world, hedge fund managers, large financial institution traders and managers, retail traders like myself. Stephen was nice enough to have me on as a guest twice on the AlphaMind 101 podcast. But, subscribe to him on Twitter, listen to his podcast. It's always a good investment of time to listen to Stephen's podcast and listen to some of the greatest traders. Let's see what Stephen has to say. If you can fast forward to the end of your trading career and imagine looking back through your major failures and successes, you'll realize that all along the major battle was never with the market, but always with yourself. It's not the market you conquer, it's yourself. And it's so true. That's why I talk about this every day. You have to control yourself, and that is a skill. If you look back, man, if I look back to some of the horrible losses I had when I was in my 20s, it wasn't the market, it was me. It was me being stubborn, thinking that I knew what was supposed to happen, and the market didn't agree with me. The issue wasn't with the market. The issue was with, I just didn't take a loss, right? I mean, you have to be able to take a loss. I know people that just, for whatever reason, they cannot take a loss. They would rather shoot themselves in the foot than take a loss. And I don't get it. I understand there are people, well, I guess I do get it because that's how I used to be. But, back then I didn't make money. I lost a bunch of it. Now, where I take my losses, I follow my rules. I don't have an ego. Now I make money, right? So thank you, Stephen. Let's read it one more time. If you can fast forward to the end of your trading career and imagine looking back through your major failures and successes, you'll realize that all along the major battle was never with the markets, but always yourself. It's not the markets you conquer, it's yourself. I mean, for those of you out there listening, if you think back to some of your big losses, did you follow your rules? Sometimes you have a big loss, for sure. Even if you follow your rules, you get the gap. There's a gap that happens on the morning or some news or something like that. But I'll bet you the majority of the time you've taken losses, you kind of got stubborn and didn't follow your plan. So thank you, Stephen Goldstein. Appreciate that, sir. Again, at AlphaMind 101. And please listen to AlphaMind 101 podcast. It's a good investment of time. Excuse me. All right, what's this crazy market doing? Dow Jones up 500 points. Well, there you go. Right back to where we were yesterday. Berkshire's kicking butt here. Maybe, possibly. 188.96. Maybe you'll get that profit target. That would be pretty sweet. XLU doing really, really well here too. Apple now back over $4. How's VIX doing? All right. Just want to make sure everything is in here correctly. Okay, here we go. Let's take a look at the potentials for today, see if we find anything. Disney, well, bummer. I did get out of Disney yesterday on that big down bar, and today it said I'm going right back up. But, it is a V1 today. We're stuck right at the 1 ATR channel. We're stuck just a little higher than 50% of that bar. We have lower volume than we did yesterday. I just got out of it. I'm not going to enter back here, even though it's a V1. It is a higher low V1, but I don't like to take V1s really above the 1 ATR channel. MACD is positive. It could, it could continue up here to the 200, but I'm just going to wait for something a little bit better. Go Daddy. Well, we have a false breakout to the downside and we have a V1. We are not above the 50 RSI. We did have the big down bar yesterday. Listen, this could just continue to take off, but I am not going to take it. It is a false breakout. It is a V1. It did bounce off the 200-day moving average. Let's look at the weekly. Weekly's holding the 50 RSI. Seems to have held the 20 and the 100. Look at the big bar here, though. That, even though it's not right here today, that still concerns me. It still concerns me. So I think I'm going to pass on that. DIA, which is the Dow Jones Industrial. Boy, look at this. Look at the big down and right back up. The DIA does not backtest well with the close under and close back over the 200. I just don't see buying this here. I mean, it's pretty high over the 1 ATR channel. We have resistance over here. MACD looks like it's going positive. You know, maybe if it came back halfway, gave me a better risk to reward. But right now, I just don't feel like it's giving me a very good risk to reward where it's at. GIB has been pretty strong. It was, let's see, what was it yesterday? Yeah, yesterday was up. We did take out this fractal. See the high? Here's the high with two lower high. Which one's higher? Okay, this one's higher. Two lower highs to the left, two lower highs to the right. Let me take a look at this on the fractal chart. We do have some intertwining of the moving averages, meaning the alligator was asleep. The alligator was awake when he was eating bear meat. Now he's starting to sleep a little bit. I don't mind it. I don't mind it. It's 52 RSI. It's been strong. Even yesterday with the market down, looked like MACD went positive. So that is one potential. IPGI, again, big bar down. Yes, we've rallied nicely into it, but I'm just not going to get involved in that. Cisco, V1, but we're up against a big old bar. So I'm just going to let that one pass. Arteza Networks, again, nice, but right into a big monster down bar. I'm just not going to get involved in that one. Micron. Well, I definitely see why this was picked up on the scanner. On the weekly, we're holding a nice sidewards range. On the daily, we did reject the 200-day. We did have a false breakout to the downside, and it looks like we have a potential, not quite a V1. Let's see, 49.46. So it's under that right now. But again, you know, the big bar concerns me yesterday. So I think I'm just going to have to let that one go. Coca-Cola. I do like Coca-Cola. Dang, Kamal, I should have bought that intraday when we were speaking about it. So let's look over at Coke. Coke triggered a fractal yesterday. Here's a high, two lower highs to the left, two lower highs to the right. The high of the fractal was above the red line. We did have some sideways motion here. And I was considering buying this yesterday. I did because it was such mayhem. But now we have a V1. We're back over this fractal area right here. We're above 50 RSI. MACD is positive, so I do like Coca-Cola also. SPCE, too big of a bar yesterday for me to get interested. I'm not surprised we had a bounce, but it's going to take a lot of buying power to get us back over all that selling yesterday. XLP, consumer staple's been strong. Glenn mentioned that the other day, and he was certainly right. We did trigger that fractal 2 days ago. This fractal here, we triggered it here, went up nicely and Rallied back again today. Sprouts, dang it. Remember we were looking at Sprouts? I was looking for a V1 back over the 50 and back over the 50-day moving average. And boy, did it rocket up today. But I wouldn't buy it here now. Yeah, it's a V2, but you know, the risk to reward's all shot. A line, oh my. What is happening here? Wow, that's amazing. That is amazing. Too big for me to buy here. SSRM, it's a V1, but right up against that big bar. Square had a big monster down bar. I mean, this was over 2 ATRs. Yes, we have a V1, but again, it's too large of a bar for me to get interested in. VRTX, same. It's a little better though because we did have a false breakout to the downside today. So, you know, whenever you have a false breakout to the downside, it adds more bonus points, even though I would still be concerned about taking it up against this big bar. But it did go under 50, over 50, reject the 50-day moving average, false breakout. It's not bad. It's not bad. I'm just concerned about that bar. And then DKNG. Okay, this one looks fairly good. Here's the low. I would really like to see this. It's a V1 right now, but I'd like to see it close up above that low, so it's a false breakout also. So right now, let's take a look. So right now, I'm kind of leaning towards Coca-Cola with the break back over this current range, break back over the 50. MACD is positive. Hey! I hit my third profit target on Berkshire. Yay! Fantastic. Boom. Nice. Nice, nice, nice. So Coca-Cola, I like the under 50, over 50. It's in the value zone. We didn't have a big bar yesterday. MACD is positive. We went under the 50 RSI, back over the 50 RSI. Let's look at the weekly. Weekly is holding that 200-day. I like Coke. I like Coca-Cola. GIB is also good. Similar on the weekly. And DKNG, it's nice V1, but I'd sure like to see it get above that previous, so it would be a false breakout to the downside. So I am leaning personally towards Coca-Cola right now. Hey, David wants to look at MA. V1, false breakout to the downside, back over 50. Yesterday's bar was a little bit larger than 1 ATR, but not a ton. Not a ton. So that one's sideways motion. That baby's definitely going to break one way or the other. Yeah, I don't mind it. I don't mind that at all. Boy, what a rally going into the end of the day. Holy smokes. Okay, what else did we have? Frank says the psychology really feeds the soul with all this volatility. Yes. Dan says thumbs up for Greg. Thank you, Dan. Intel. Well, again, I mean, it is a V1. It's a rejection of the 200-day moving average. It is a false breakout to the downside. This is all true. Yeah, it looks pretty good. I mean, it does look pretty good. 47.82 RSI, a little close to that 50 RSI also. Mohammed, hey, Mohammed, I got your email. Thank you, and I'm going to reply to that. Hope you're doing well, sir. FISV. V1, I don't know if that's legitimate. I don't know if it's a quarter washout. Red green, Kamal, of course, that's also good. It's okay. I mean, if I looked at it myself, I don't think I would have gotten too excited about it. It's under 50. Blue. Yeah, we talked about that one. You know, we had the big move up, pull back. We are, it looks like, back over 50% of this big bar up. We're at 49.50. Yesterday's bar was a little big, but not extremely so compared to what a 1 ATR is. But me personally, I mean, I wouldn't get involved with that unless that was over 50 RSI. William says, analysts raised price target on ALG into 310 from 260. That's why it jumped today. Boy, I'd say it jumped. Holy smokes. All right, let me take care of a little business over here. Okay. Dow's up 587 points. Unbelievable. Wow. Boy, look at that Berkshire go. Holy smokes. Well, I definitely am going to be buying SPY at a little higher price today. Oil's doing fine. USO is doing fine. Boy, look at that Apple trade. Remember when I first started right here? Even if you would have waited for the confirmation, you would have just done really, really well. Wow. Okay. All right, let's get back to basics of what I'm doing here at the end of the day. Coca-Cola. I like the break over the fractal, under 50, over 50. It's in a reasonable area. V1, bullish engulfing. GIB, it's pretty good. I think I like Coca-Cola better. I mean, of course, Coke's not going to be a huge mover, right? We know that. DKNG, ooh, getting really close, Kamal, to over being a false breakout. I think Coca-Cola is going to be it for me. All right. so let me get this all loaded up here. How many shares am I buying of Coke? All right. We have about 5 minutes, so I'm going to wait till the end. Pincy said, analysts raised a price target for CAT today and the stock went through the roof. I got out yesterday, but hey, money doesn't stink. Yeah, you made money on that, which I'm certainly glad. Yeah, sometimes that happens, for sure. But sometimes you get out and they give it a downgrade also. Whew, glad I got out of VIX there when I did, huh? Look at the Coca-Cola chart intraday. All right, so we have about 3 minutes. Coca-Cola just triggered a fractal on the 39-minute. All right. It's a wild one today, that's for sure. All right, I guess I'll just go ahead and buy Coke. Okay, that is taken care of. One minute to go. All right, about 15 seconds. And that, as they say, is that. All right. Well, listen, if anybody has any questions for me, if you'd like to look at any other stock symbols, if you have any additions or subtractions to the board, just please put it in the chat. Happy to get to it. Before I do, just real quick, my daily plug, just to let everybody know that I do offer private one-on-one coaching and teaching lessons in the evening time via Skype. Love to teach, had really good success with my clients. I do teach a course. It's 5 sessions. Each session is 3 hours, so it's a total of 15 hours. We go through a lot in the course. I think the best way to learn is really to learn one-on-one in a long-form situation. I've mentioned many times, but I have studied one-on-one with Dr. Alexander Elder and Steve Burns and Larry Williams and Carrie Lavorne, and the course that I teach incorporates what I've learned from all 4 of my different teachers and coaches. And they're different approaches, but they work well together, the way that I mesh them together, and that's what I teach. So it's very interactive. We do a lot of, I teach, you listen, I have you teach it back to me. We do a lot of going through charts, and I put you in the driver's seat. What chart's better? What's our next trade? What's better between this chart and that chart? Entries, exits, trading psychology, position sizing, all the stuff we talk about. I don't teach anything in those classes that I don't teach here, but it is much different when you get to do it one-on-one. So if you're interested, please reach out to me. You can send me a message on Twitter at Gossett Trading, or you can also send me an email. Email's in the description of this video. And if you do reach out to me, I'll say, great, thank you, nice talking to you. Let's set up a Skype call. And the Skype call is just a get to know you call. It is not a sales call. I will not ask you whether or not you want to take the course or not. It's just for me to get to know you a little bit better, learn more about your trading, your challenges, your goals, and then it's a good time for you to ask me any questions at all about the course. All right. And again, not a sales call. Would not do that to you, I promise. So if you're interested, please reach out, and it'll be fun speaking to you. Even if you don't take the course, it's great to be able to just put a name with a face. And then number 2, if you like today's podcast, I would really appreciate it if you could hit the thumbs up button. It does help grow the channel and keep the channel alive. And so if you found it useful today, I would really appreciate that if you could do it. All right. Okay, so let's take a look here. Okay, so it looks like Frank is in VRTX with a halfie. All right. All right. Frank, we got you on VRTX. Kamal says, okay, Kamal bought FAS, DKNG, Blue, and Moo. Okay, so FAS, Kamal's back in. All right, we got Kamal in FAS, we got Kamal in DKNG. Okay. We have Kamal in Blue. And we have Kamal in Moo. Okay. All right. David entered MA. It's a good company to own. All right. David says, Friday looking like it'll work for my lesson. Fantastic. William Green says, Moo had 2 sales at close. Total 1.8 million shares long side. Wow. That's something. That's good for Kamal. On the surface, anyway. Evan says, in your fractal trading video, I had a question. When you have a fractal to the upside and then there's a few days later a fractal to the downside, does the downside fractal cancel out the upside fractal? It depends, Evan. It depends whether or not the bottom side fractal is below the red line. You know, here on Coca-Cola, right? Here was the high with the 2 lower highs to the left, the 2 lower highs to the right. The high of that fractal is above the red line on the alligator. So in that case, if I had if I came way up here and had a fractal to the downside, I wouldn't reverse and get out unless the fractal was below the red line. So here, you know, here you have it's kind of bracketed. This would be a legitimate to the upside. This one would be a legitimate to the downside because the low here is below the red line. But if you are, let me see if I can find an example. Okay. Let's say you took this fractal here, right? And got here. And then here we have a fractal with a low with 2 lower highs to the right, 2 lower or higher lows to the left, higher lows to the right. If this bar came down and triggered that, I would know. I would not go short there because it's above the red line. In order to go short, in order to go long, the high of the fractal has to be above the red line. If the low is below the red line, then yes, that would be a fractal to the downside. So if you took a fractal to the upside and went up, and then you had a fractal to the downside, would you reverse and go short? Probably not, because the low of the fractal would probably be above the red line. And also, if it's really trending up like that, I don't want to take a fractal when the alligator has its mouth open. I want it to be closed like this. Hope that makes sense, Evan. I know that's kind of confusing. Oh, all right. Where did I buy my stuff today? Okay, I got Coca-Cola at $45.91, and I got SPY at $318.92. All right. So Coca-Cola. $45.91. Good, got that. And then SPY. Bought it way back up here at 318.92. Okay. So Berkshire, boy, that was a great trade, up 3%. All right, 3 profit targets. Boy, it's rare when you get 3 profit targets, I'll tell you that. So 3 profit targets there. USO, no profit targets, but up 1.5%. XLU, 1 profit target. Take that one off. Coca-Cola, I just entered. VXX, I did buy calls that expire October 16th, $35 calls at 660. So those are underwater at the moment for sure. Evan says, I was curious if it would cancel a buy signal. If you had an upside fractal on day 3, let's say 60, and then 3 days later a downside fractal at 54, but a couple days later it broke back above 60. Buy. Well, you know, Evan, you want to take those fractals. Ideally, you want to take fractals. Like, let's look at the VIX. Maybe that's not such a good example. Okay. Here's VIX on the weekly. Here's a fractal. See the high up here with 2 lower highs to the left, 2 lower highs to the right? Do you see how the alligator is all intertwined? Back here, the alligator's mouth was open, but now it's intertwined. You generally want to start these only when they are intertwined, because sideways motion leads to big moves up or down, right? And big move up or down leads to sideways motion again. So with that being said, I was curious if you would cancel a buy signal. If you had an upside fractal on day 3, say 60, and then 3 days later a downside fractal at 54, but a couple days later it broke back above 60, buy. You know, when Bill Williams buys fractals, again, he waits to start just for sideways motion. If it takes off his way without closing below the red line initially, or if it gets extended without closing below the green line, if here we have a fractal, if it goes up, moves around for a few days later, and then goes up again, he'll add a position. He'll keep adding positions and positions and positions to the upside until it closes below the green line, basically, if it's way up there, or if it's just starting with the red line. So he's very particular in the first fractal he takes. But then, of course, he's in the money if he's adding another fractal already. But I would, there's fractals that happen all the time, but try to start the fractal when the alligator's mouth is closed. Greg, in case you wanted trade execution prices, all right. $31.65. Blue is $62.65. DKNG is 30.14. And Moo is 49.75. Evan says, sorry if I'm having trouble explaining myself. No, it's not. Fractals are a hard, they're a hard thing to talk about, you know what I mean, in a live stream, in detail. And I haven't been teaching them for a while, but Evan, the main thing, wait for the alligator's mouth to be closed, sleeping, then take the trade. But I wouldn't take a new entry of something where where it's already moved up a bunch, just because sideways motion is really the best place to buy. Generally not the place to buy after it's already made the move. Quadracer says, out of ORTX and in GIB and KO. Okay. Well, at least the ORTX came back a little bit. All right, you're in with me on Coca-Cola. And GIB. Okay. Evan says, actually, the KO trade answered my question. The downside fractal 3 days ago didn't cause you not to buy today with the breakout above the... Yeah, that's right. It would have been legitimate to buy if this fractal, two lower highs to the left, two lower highs to the right, if this fractal today would have taken below this, yes. But you know, you kind of had it bracketed. Sideways motion is going to break out one way or the other, and it broke out to the upside. So you know, my initial stop on this is going to be closed below the red line. If it extends, then I'll cinch it up with a green line close. And if I was trading like Bill Williams, the more it went up and had fractals to the side, and then had more fractals, and then moved up again. If I was trading Bill Williams style, I would add on to it. Okay, Glenn, thank you. Let's see, AEM. Okay. 63.15. $10.4. Got it, Glenn. Good luck with that, bud. Boy, Kamal, a lot of red-green today. It's a good sign. Cool. Thanks so much for the info. You bet, Evan. Let's see what's happening after hours. Coca-Cola's down 4 cents. Spice down 40 cents. USO's up. VIX is up. XLU is even. Any earnings today of note that anyone knows of? We have banks. You know, I was looking at kind of some of the major Dow components. Coca-Cola, of course, I bought that fractal there. Nike didn't have a fractal. Caterpillar did have a fractal, I believe, yesterday. Yeah, dang. I guess that's the fractal I should have taken. See the high with the two lower highs to the left, two lower highs to the right. The high of the fractal was above Oh, by the way, Evan, do you see how we have a fractal down here? Like here was the high of a fractal. The high was above the red. That's legitimate. Dang, I should have taken that one. Darn it. I've been looking at that. Do you see how this is a fractal to the downside? Two lower highs to the left, two lower highs to the right. But you see how the low of the fractal is not below the red line. So even if this triggered, this one would not be legitimate. And what that helps you to do is having your high of your fractal above the red line essentially causes you to have a higher low preceding the high of the fractal. You know, Bill Williams talks about Elliott waves and all this kind of stuff, and you know those can get confusing. But essentially, really, what it's doing, it's ensuring that you have a fractal that takes place after a higher low. So yeah, this low here, Evan, would not be legitimate. It is a fractal, but it's not under the red line. Meaning it's a little bit too much into an uptrend here. All right. Well, listen, what a day. What a couple days. I mean, talk about volatility and drama. Holy smokes. Dan says, Greg, bravo. You have a talent of explaining master traders' methods better than them. Oh, I don't know about that, but it's nice for you to say. In the past, I spent hours watching Bill Williams videos and learning less than when you explain things. Oh, thank you. Well, you know, he uses a lot of words, you know, big words and a lot of stories about things, and I guess I was just trying to cut through it. And trust me, when I was learning fractals, it took me a while. I read that book and blah 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 blah, you know, and then it finally clicked. But yeah, I just try to make more simple. But thank you, Dan. It's nice of you to say that, and I appreciate you doing that. But I'm glad you understand it, and it's interesting that you've been watching Bill Williams videos. They're pretty good though, right? Pinsky said JPM and DAL earnings are today. JPM was this morning, I think, right? And DAL, what is that? Delta Airlines? Was that this afternoon or? Kamal says, thank you, Greg. I hope PT went well yesterday. Oh, it did. Man, my shoulder was burning like crazy when I got out of there. So that's a good sign. Thank you for asking, though, Kamal. Evan says, by the way, since starting watching you regularly, the value of my trading account is up 12%. Thank you so much for your help. You are certainly welcome, Evan. That's music to my ears. Bob says, C and WFC earnings as well. So that's Citigroup and what is that? Wells Fargo? Yeah. Oh, that one was down. Frank said 60 Minutes did a segment on Elliott waves years ago, and I still recall it. Yep. I think the key, they talk about the third wave, Frank, and my understanding, I'm not an Elliott wave specialist by any means, but essentially what when they refer back to the third wave, they're talking, I believe, you know, like here. Let's see, one, two, three. But essentially, to have that third wave, you need to have a higher low. So just that's why I like higher lows so much. I mean, I didn't really understand that there's so much a big part of Elliott waves, and they never really talk about it that way. But you know, again, people that bought here, They bought the low. They bought a lower low. As it gets up into here, they're going to take profits. If I bought down here, you know I'd be looking to take profits here. Me taking those profits and other people taking those profits has it moved down, right? The people that bought here are probably selling here and in here. But if you get another group of buyers here, the advantage there is that now it can move up easier without any selling pressure, because the people that bought here sold here. They're not going to, the people that bought here are not going to be selling into this move, and that this higher low, lower low moves tend to bounce, fail. Higher low moves have a better chance of trending up. Kamal says WFC and C and JPM already reported. That's what I thought. Thanks for that, Kamal. Glenn says learning to buy in the value zone has been a real plus for me. Thanks to your advice, Greg. Oh, fantastic. Thank you, Glenn. Well, I mean, Glenn certainly knows what he's doing. My gosh, have you seen some of Glenn's trades? But, I mean, learning a little bit about, buying in the value zone does help. I've told you this story before, but Dr. Elder told me this story. In Egypt, they grow and sell a lot of cotton. Well, the Egyptian government came in, hired an accounting firm or statistics firm, and says, look, we grow cotton, we sell cotton. We want to know the best times to buy it. So they did this big review of cotton prices. And after the big review was done, they basically said, buy cotton. You can buy cotton at value, sell it above value, or when it gets below value, buy it below value and sell it in value. And whether it's cotton or whether it's stocks or cars or anything else. Reversion to the mean, right? Pincy said, I started applying trading rules since I found Greg from YouTube. LOL. Well, I'm glad. I'm glad you did. Sorry that you got out of Caterpillar. That's a bummer, but you did make money, so that's good. All right, everybody. Well, good day. Good day today. Wow. Really good day. Be interesting to see what happens tomorrow, though, with all this volatility. So I appreciate you being here. Please remember to try to go out and do something nice for somebody today. Just a smile or a wave or a hello. Just be nice and considerate. If everybody would do that, boy, the world would certainly be a better place. And, we can all kind of start with us. And then number 2, if you could hit the thumbs up button before we get out of here, I would certainly appreciate that. So thanks for coming. I hope you have a nice rest of your day. Be safe, be good. And I will see you tomorrow, hopefully, during the last hour of the market. So take care, everybody. Have a good rest of your day. Appreciate you coming. Bye. U.S. government required disclaimer. Stock, options, futures, and Forex trading is not appropriate for everyone. While there is a potential for large rewards, there is also a substantial risk of loss associated with trading. The material in this video or live broadcast is not geared towards any particular individual or to any particular financial situation and is not intended to meet the particular investment objectives of any viewer. This video or live broadcast, like all instructional materials produced by Gossett Trading and Mentoring LLC, is created and published for informational and educational purposes only. Any and all information contained in, implied, or referenced by this video or live broadcast is not to be construed as investment advice, and no representation is made that any individual or entity involved in production of this video or live broadcast is an investment or financial advisor or is registered or authorized to give any financial advice. We are publishers and educators only. Therefore, the various producers of this video or live broadcast will not accept liability for any loss or damage of any kind which may arise either directly or indirectly out of the use of any of this material, including any loss of profit. No representation is made that any account or investment will or is likely to achieve the profit or losses demonstrated. We recommend consultation with a licensed and qualified professional before making any investment decision. This video or live broadcast is not to be construed as an offer to buy or sell any security, financial instrument, or financial product of any kind. Notice is hereby given that any individual or entity involved in production of this video or live broadcast or their clients may have an interest in any security, financial instrument, or financial product mentioned or referenced. Any simulated or hypothetical performance result depicted does not represent actual trading and therefore may under or overcompensate for the impact of various market factors such as lack of liquidity. Thank you.